All right, guys. So video, I think this is video number 3. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth with what is needed in a context. I'll go ahead and say your context statements tend to be one of the hardest things for students to learn how to write. So we're going to tackle this in a couple of ways. Number one, if you look here, I've given you a sample for what a good context looks like for essay number 1. So you have that as a good sample. Number 2, I'm telling you what you need. And number 3, if you pull this up on Schoology, I'm giving you suggestions on how you can start thinking about a context for each essay. Okay. So let's kind of look through what you need, right? So your context needs 2 components. Okay. Number 1, you have to explain what's happening before the prompt. You got to, what's going on before the prompt. That's the era of time that you have to discuss. Okay. General rule, maybe at least 20 years. Sometimes, like I have a suggestion, maybe 10 years before, but you need to be talking about the events prior in your context. Okay. Second thing, it has to be in the same subject as what your thesis is. Okay. So if your essay is concerning what's going on with the lives of women, right? That's essay number 5. Okay. I need to be talking about what's going on in the lives of women prior to that. I can't just describe that period of time and then all of a sudden have a thesis statement that's talking about women. That makes no sense. You need to have it flow. Okay. And sometimes that's a hard concept. And that's why I want you guys to definitely by Friday, I want to approve at least one context paragraph from every student so we can kind of get on the path of what a really good one looks like. Another thing, 3 to 5 sentences at least. It's going to take a while for you to paint this picture for me and to tell me this story. And then at least 2 key terms or some sort of specificity or specific event needs to be embedded in the context. I mean, it has to be just as specific as any other aspect of the essay. Okay. So I'm going to read mine. And I've hooked up my thesis statement to the bottom and it's in quotation so you guys can actually see that. So my example is prior to the Columbian Exchange. So you're going to start all your context with prior, and then you're going to put in the period of time. The process to colonize, that's a key term, would get its jumpstart due to technological advances as seen in the astrolabe, An ever-present need to explore, brought on by the ability to go beyond the seas, became an actual reality and would bring about the age of exploration. So my big thing about essay number 1, God, Glory, and Gold and the age of exploration are really big things contextually. Okay. But I go beyond that. Now I go into like what's going to be in my thesis statement, from hopes to expand economically, politically, and religiously. Okay. And I'm going to talk about all 3 of those things in my essay. European countries will not only change, or excuse me. Yep. European countries not only change their empires, but also affect those to which they ventured. Right. So I'm talking about going beyond the seas and colonizing. And if you look at my thesis statement, my second reason in my thesis statement is about colonization. So I'm talking about this idea that they want to colonize. And then in my thesis statement, it's actually happening. And in my body paragraph, I'm going to elaborate as to what that means. So you're almost having this like 3-part process where you're mentioning aspects of what's going on prior. You're using them as your reasons for the change or for cause. And then in your body paragraphs, you're actually like finishing the story. Okay. For American Indians, that's my reason 3, life for American Indians. And I have that in effect, those to which they ventured. So where they venture and where they go, they're going to be running into American Indians, right? So it flows really well into my thesis statement. Okay. I don't expect to see elaborate context statements that have just fluff and jazz and just beautiful language. No, 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 no. It's all about quality. Okay. Quantity in a context, though, is important. Again, 3 to 5 sentences in a context. Make sure it flows because your thesis statement is going to be your last sentence. Okay, so let's go into suggestions down here. For essay 1, you can steal my God, Glory, and Gold. I didn't add this. Let me add this right now. Age of Exploration is another one. Age of Exploration is a good one. So that's just covering that period of time, when Columbus ventures out, right? Essay 2. Now, essay 2, and I'm reading from our packets. Essay 2 has it's from 1660 to 1775, and it's an economics-based essay, and it's talking about exchange systems that are changing the North American economy. Okay. and how North America is being changed because of commercial exchange systems. So what's going on prior to 1660? Well, the Columbian Exchange is going on, right? The Age of Exploration, colonization, the British Industrial Revolution. What you're going to start to see as we work through these is the context for one is going to be the topic for the next, and the topic for the next is going to be context for the next. So it should flow kind of easy. Essay 3, here we see colonization again, right? But you need to specify it to your essay. You can't just arbitrarily say colonization, because in essay 3, you're talking about self-government, right? So governmentally, what's going on with colonization? In essay 2, I wrote down colonization, but you're going to talk about it in more of an economic sense, okay? So again, it has to flow and it has to be on topic with your thesis statement. I also have in essay 3, solitary neglect, enlightenment, the House of Burgess, town meetings, because it's very, it's all about self-government. So we're going to talk about government in the context because the prompt is about government and your thesis is about government. The whole essay is going to be about government, okay? The flow. For essay 4, enlightenment, great awakening, the French and Indian War. Essay 5 about women, American Revolution, what are women doing? Post-American Revolution, what are women doing? Colonization, what are women doing? Don't just talk about colonization, politics, and economics. You want to focus on colonization concerning women, right? So hopefully you're starting to see these emerge. Essay 6, the American Revolution / the Declaration of Independence, because essay 6, let me find it real quick, is having to do with reform activities from 1800 to 1848. So something's inspiring people to reform. The era of us winning our independence is really a strong era that's going to inspire a lot of people to fight for freedoms. Why? Because they're embedded in our government. They're embedded in the Constitution and they're embedded in the Declaration. So this is a great time prior to start talking about that before you get to people fighting for reform, right? Abolitionism, women's rights, temperance, things like that. I also have post-American Revolution, like the Hamilton era. For essay 7, we're talking about debates concerning slavery, manifest destiny, the Missouri Compromise. But again, you have to focus on how those two things envelop or develop with the slavery debating. And then essay 8, again, the same era as we actually have in essay 6 because there's some from the same period of time. But you have to stay on topic. You're not going to talk about the exact same things in essay 6, but at least that's the era that you're going to be referring to, right? And that'll get you your points for like dropping a key term. All of these are, they're specifics, they're eras that we use interchangeably throughout American history. Okay, so I hope this video helped. Work hard, make sure that you're watching videos, make sure you're asking me questions, try to get a context paragraph done so I can check it tomorrow.